Gabe,
Nick,
and we are here today to bring you a much needed, much requested episode of our 3 Wickets. Oh, this is an exciting one to talk about, Nick. We're going to call it, what shall we call it? The Australia version? Because honestly, I feel like Australia got the W here. Even though
that
things
was going to be my
turned
first
out.
question. You snaked me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to jump right into this. This is my question for him. This is my question for myself and for everyone in the audience. Who won this series? I don't want to hear about the numbers. We know India won 2 matches, Australia won 1, and they drew 1. Who won this series?
Australia. And I'll tell you right now, because coming into this series, India was nigh and vulnerable at home. Complain about the pitch, complain about whatever. Like, listen, they had not lost a test match, let alone struggled, almost lost a test series in forever. I mean, that's how...
Ever since the Hobbits left the Shire.
You know what I mean? They have been that dominant. And after the first 2 matches, there were questions. Patty Cummings was on the hot stand answering some tough questions. We'll talk about my man smudging a little bit.
Oh, no.
But I feel like, I know people are going to say, there's no moral victories, Gabe. Look at the scoreboard. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is, okay? When you're an overwhelming favorite at home and you don't perform, you come up short, you lost. You might have won the battle, but you lost the war. Because in my opinion, this is a build-up for the WTC, and these are probably going to be 2 of the teams we're going to see in the WTC. And if you couldn't beat me in your... Let's be real. India's always been accused for pitch doctoring and this, and that. And everybody plays on the same pitch. But if you couldn't play and win where you had home field advantage, you think you're going to beat me on the road? It was such a victory for Australia. But that's my opinion. So we shall call it the Baggy Green episode.
No.
Nope.
Let me tell you this is my analogy of this series. It's like a heavyweight boxing match, okay? And India... They're at home, so they already have a huge advantage. The pitch, the spinners they have more spinners, more quality, more game experience spinners, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
They have a huge advantage. And to me, after the first 2 matches, it's like the boxer has knocked down Australia twice.
Right.
And Australia's at an 8 count, 8.5 before they clear the cobwebs, and they hobble themselves back up. So you have them on the ropes. One more hook, they're done. They're not getting back up.
Right.
But not only did Australia get back up,
right,
but they knocked them out, India, in the 3rd round of that fight.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the 4th round, you have like Rocky 2, where both Apollo and Rocky both go down at the same second.
Oh my God.
But in my opinion, based on the circumstances, based on the fact that you had them literally on the ropes if you're India, I feel like Australia was Rocky and they got up at the last second and India fell down. I agree with you. I think this is a bigger win for Australia, and everyone's going to lose their minds. But you know it's true.
Right.
You've got to take at least 1 win away from India for the huge home field advantage.
Right.
They had, if nothing else, I don't care if they won all 4 matches in India, because you would say, oh, it's still India. Doctor pitches. It's about the psyche. It's about the mental, my foot is on your throat every single match. I didn't give you a chance to get up.
Right.
Bowled them out twice in a session, for crying out loud.
Right.
And you weren't able to finish the job. They came up, they felt great about themselves, and they could, even though they're not going to say it to Pat Cummings, I'm sure he'll come back as captain. They're able to say to a man, once we had a new leadership in there, we were good to go. Right. So, this and that, we're going to bust out our R3 Wickets. Ike Old School, thanks for requesting it. We're going to talk about the entire series, but I agree with you. Let us know. Give us an argument for how we're wrong. The only saving grace here is there was one objective I wanted as a fan of Indian cricket from this series, and that was to punch a ticket to the WTC.
Right.
They need a lot of help from New Zealand, right? 31 runs in the final 4 overs, and they were able to chase them on the final ball.
Can't make it up.
Woo!
Can't make that
And
up.
so India punched that ticket, but I wanted India to punch the ticket without anybody's help, on their own accord, and 1 draw to a win or 1 loss to a win would have made that happen. But at the end of the day, once again, India's in a World Cup, and once again, you're going to hear it here first. We heard in the comment section, they're going to mess that up too. Choke time, baby.
Let me just say, it's so funny how we think alike. This was, in my mind, this was Rocky. You know what it was? It was, India, it's like the first 7-8 rounds, Rocky and Apollo Creed.
Dominating.
And Apollo Creed's just dominating. Pop, 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 pop. Just a thing of beauty. Blah, Rocky goes down. I'm not going down no more. Gets yacked up. and then Apollo drops him in that. That was that third match to me. Apollo drops him in that ninth round. I mean, the 10th or 11th round. He was the 11th round, and then Rocky gets back up.
Round. Oh, no,
15th round, yeah. Rocky gets back up,
double knockout.
And you just see and that's when Apollo lost. Because when he gets up and you can see he just dejected, like I dropped him in number 1, and he gets back up, that's it. I've hit you with my best shot, and that's where India was at. I should have whitewashed this match. I hit you with my best shot.
Absolutely.
And you came back in that third match. That's them getting up. And then to me, that fourth match, it was like just trying to survive, which is what he was doing at the end in Rocky and Apollo. If that goes one more round, you think he wins? Yes, Rocky in the very first round. Rocky, if that bell saved Apollo. I felt like India was saved by the match being drawn because you give it another day.
So you're talking about the first match, the first fight with Rocky and Apollo.
Rocky and Apollo, exactly.
There's one point in that match where Rocky gets up and Apollo's exhausted the corner, and Rocky goes like this, "Let's go, come on!" And Apollo's just like, "Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding? This guy keeps going."
That was that psyche moment right there.
That's what it is. And to me, again, you couldn't beat me at home. At home, we hold court, right? We basically, if not for Jimmy Anderson, of course, and Stuart Broad, we whitewash England at home. We hold court at home. So Australia, Australia's confidence has got to be super high compared to India's. And that's just my opinion. You're right. They ended up getting through. Congratulations to India, but they needed help. When they could have held this destiny, their own destiny in their own hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the good things happen for India, yes, but some bad things happen. The good things happen for Australia, yes, and some bad things happen, and I think that's what we want to talk about right now. So
One thing I want to throw out there, because I want to be fully negative, because I still do root for India as far as cricket goes. One thing I want to point out there is thank goodness Australia must be happy that it's not being played the WTC final in Australia, because when India went to Australia, it was the same result. 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 match drawn. Okay?
Wow.
So you have that. You have that over there. But again, this being at home, right? If Australia would have barely won without a Coley for 3 of the matches, with all the injuries, 2-1-1, you can also say, are we really proud of that kind of a win?
Right.
No. So it's going to be a neutral site. It's going to be interesting to see, and I can't wait for it. But we're going to jump right into this, okay? If you haven't been on it, haven't seen an R3 Wickets in a long time, we haven't recorded one in a long time, we're going to talk about things that we liked, things that we disliked, and things that we learned from this match. You want to go first?
Absolutely. I'm going to start
with the hate or with the positivity?
I mean, we can start with the hate or the positivity. I think I'm going to start... Actually, yeah, let's start with what we hate, all right? You know, we talked about this recently when we did the, I think, 2nd or 3rd episode of The Test, right? Season 2. Go ahead. Don't forget to check that out as well. We've already done 2 or 3 episodes of The Test. Great series on Amazon Prime. But we talked about Patty Cummings' captaincy. And Nick, there's something to be said. This was the same team. Same team, saying what changed. So I've always contended Patty Cummings kind of backed into his captaincy, right? And he kind of admits it. What did I do to earn this captaincy? Nothing. I woke up one day, I'm captain because Tim Payne made a bad choice. Let's just be real. And at times, his captaincy has proven right? Specifically when he makes some bowling decisions because the guy is a bowler himself. But we saw the difference between himself and Smudge, for instance, right? We're talking about now Smudge is, and I don't know if this is permanent, but they just said for the next 3 ODI series, Smudge is going to be captain. But I just feel as if there's a disconnect there. And I feel like Patty Cummings was tested in these first 2 matches he was absolutely lost. And I don't know, man. I don't know. And I love Patty Cummings. Listen, the best a man can be, I believe that Aussie Green. But, I mean, what are your thoughts, Nick? Like, Patty Cummings, he got exposed, don't you think?
I think it's too harsh criticism. I really do. I know it's easy to make that connection, easy to come to that conclusion based off what we have. But let's not forget, last time SBD was a test captain, besides like maybe filling it here or there, didn't end too well, right? And it's not about his play. It's not about the team. It's about him allowing certain things to happen.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, whoa. Let's be clear for a second. What happened under SBD...
Is he not the captain?
Okay, but it was he
Did
was
it not
captain,
happen
and
under his watch?
David Warner was captain. It happened under his watch, but it wasn't like he was the one with the sandpaper. That was Bancroft
Well,
or whatever.
Bancroft got caught with it, but is it not under his watch?
Okay, it was under his watch, but what I'm saying is,
he's got to take that.
if he was the one caught doing it, then that's a different story.
I don't know enough about the situation to say 100%. I'm not trying to troll. To say 100% that he was not completely aware and allowing it to happen. It's different if it happens and you aren't aware and you gotta take that bullet because you're the captain.
Right.
I don't think that was a situation.
But I'm glad that you said that.
Could be very wrong.
You got to take the bullet because you're a captain. Fine, but did he lose his captaincy because he was not winning games?
But I'm saying
because of performance. No,
not focusing just on cricket is what I'm saying, right?
Okay,
it didn't end well. No matter how you want to spin it, it didn't end well. But does that mean that he cannot lead the team to victory? No, it doesn't mean that. Makes you wonder why we got to go to cheating to make it happen. That's a different thing. But I don't want to bring that all up. Right. I'm just saying Pat Cummins did enough with in the Ashes, right? After the Tim Payne situation, with the transition of JL to whoever their interim coach is or permanent coach is now, that I think it's unfair to come to that conclusion. The bowling was great, and what I disliked about this series was that third match. Obviously, India lost it, right, but I hated the batting debacle. I think it was the first match they won the toss, they decided to bat first, right, and they got bowled out for 101. Right. I mean, no one was able to show up at all on the batting side. Right. And you got to give credit to the bowling. You've got to do all that kind of stuff, but it was just absolutely atrocious. And we're looking at the bowling right now. Kuhneman, how do you say his last name? Sorry if I said it wrong. 5 wickets. Right. Lyon 3, Murphy 1. All the spinners they ate up, which you're expecting India. But as a batting team at home, you got to do better than that. Pujara with 1, Jadeja with 4, Iyer with a duck, almost a golden duck. Ashwin with 3. You don't expect too much from him to tell him, but he can bat, especially in India sometimes. Rohit with 12. Absolute debacle, and you cannot put your team in that situation. You really can't. Even with that, the bowlers were able to come back and bowl in Australia out for under 200, but then they only put up 163 themselves. So in the second innings, I hated that type of answer to dominated. Right. I hated that type of response when the whole time the Australia fans are complaining, rightfully so, that this pitch is crazy. Who's supposed to play on this? Right. I think it was the third pitch that India actually got fined and got in trouble for, how bad the pitch was. And you doctored it, fine, whatever. But you allow the visitor to do better on that pitch than you do? That was an absolute wet-the-bed type situation. Right. Even when they had their second innings chance, okay, let's put up a score of 300 or something. They couldn't even do that. Right. Pujara got 59, which was amazing, but nobody else besides Shreyas Iyer got anywhere about close to 20 runs. Right. Absolute debacle on a pitch that doctor or not doctor, whoever was involved, who knows, didn't work out. And I hated that situation because let's not resort to every last tactic we can. Let's just win our merits. Is that asking too much? Right. And then you do that, whoever's decision it was, and you're not able to fulfill. I hated that stuff. But getting back to Pat Cummins, I think it's just too early. You said what changed? One thing that changed is David Warner was hurt, and they bring in Travis Head to open. Mm-hmm. He's put like 9 runs up or something like that, 6 runs. He didn't do too much. So you can't really say that was a clear cut. You get Cameron Green in there. But they were just able to fight better. And you have to give some credit to Steve Smith. Right. But I will never overreact after 1 or 2 matches. I just can't do it.
I just feel like, to your point, they fought better. I feel like they were it was a foregone conclusion. Like the first 2 matches, right? It was all the conversation was about the pitch and how bad it was and opening with spinners and whatever. And like under Patty Cummins, it was almost like they were using that as a preloaded excuse. Where on the smudge, I felt like guys were like they're playing on that pitch too. They're playing on that pitch too. Well, we're all gonna go. We're all gonna go out there and we're all gonna battle. And on the smudge, they went out and batted on the same pitch that India batted, just like they did in the first 2. Only they didn't use that as an excuse and they put up more runs. It's just simple as that. You know what I mean? When the Patty Cummins, I felt like they were almost using that as an excuse. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's just an assumption. Going back to Gabe from the past, though, what do you always say? You should never lose your job to injury. Right. He had to step down because of a death in the family. Right? I mean, tragic type situation. He's rooting for his guys. He wants his guys to do, but I don't know if there's enough of an indicator to say that if he wasn't still captaining, that they still wouldn't have won that third match.
Right.
It's easy to make that conclusion, but that's just my long-winded answer and my dislike for this match. And I also dislike Bharat too, real quick. As a wicketkeeper, they gave him a full chance, a full series, 4 matches, and I don't want to kill the guy. I don't want to say I don't ever want to see him again. But Prithvi Shaw got like 1 innings in Australia, and you never saw him again besides like as a substitute in the field or whatever. This guy got 4 matches, and it just did not look good at all. There was very few highlights. He got like a high score of 44. That was great in that drawn match, but it absolutely did not work out. And the fact that you have Saha, who I just think is just the easy fill-in. The guy's got experience. He can wicket keep. He may score a few runs. Who knows? But you got to have someone not let the balls get past you with all those leg buys, all these buys or whatever. You had Samson that can rake a little bit and can manage himself some. And it gets to the point where I'm watching Bharat and I'm calling for a KL Rahul wicketkeeper. Are you kidding me right now?
And I love that you mentioned that because that was going to be my next segue into what didn't you like. But I want to kind of set you up for what maybe... I looked at the India side and I'm like, let's talk about your captain's performance. Okay? That's part of... I'm just saying.
You hate yourself some Rohit.
I'm just saying. Is Rohit not part of the selection committee? He decides to get Bharat out there, right?
I don't know.
Yes, he is. Every captain has a...
We have seen the BCCI tell the captain the day before, you're no longer captain.
Okay, maybe he doesn't have 100%, but he should.
He's on the selection committee, sure.
He should.
They sent him an email the day before.
This is who you're going to start.
Yes.
This is who's on the... So, but with that being said, Rohit didn't produce at all.
He had a century in the first game, right?
In the first game, but I'm saying in this debacle of a match, right? In this third match, he scored like, I want to say...
He was one of the top scorers of the whole series.
Yeah, but no. In the third match, when Australia won,
scored in the third match.
I think he scored, what was it, 12? And there you go.
Nobody scored in the
both innings. And this was the match that they lost. So whenever, I just don't understand. Whenever India would lose, and it was Coley, death to Coley. Everyone had it.
But that was
Rohit doesn't get that. Rohit doesn't get that kind of fire. Yes. I don't get it.
No, you're not painting a true picture. Coley, that was after World Cup loss after World Cup loss after World Cup loss after World Cup loss, after every tournament not being able to fulfill, after different situations. Coley was the captain of the last WTC, didn't work out against New Zealand. And it's to the point where you've been doing it for almost a decade and we're getting the same results. It's a time for a change. Now, so far under Rohit's watch, they haven't won a World Cup in the T20 when they had a chance. They're going to go to the WTC. We're going to see. And they got the World Cup in India, which was the last time I was in India. India won the entire thing. He'll get a perfect trio of opportunity World Cup chances. If they don't come back with the cap at the cup at his age, and if he's still putting these kind of scores, then we can have a very legitimate conversation.
Because I'm just an outside observer, right? I'm just looking in and I'm like, wait a minute. You know, Coley at least was a high scorer in that very first innings of that match. Whatever.
He ran the match in the last match.
And I'm like, but Rohit struggled in this third match, which was when it was the beginning of the end for India. You know, it was the sky is falling. Could you imagine had India lost the second match and not just drawn? My gosh, the sky is falling. It would have been much worse. And I don't hear him getting any hate. Rohit must kiss babies. Rohit must pay his tithes. Rohit must go to church every 7 days a week, whatever. He must be the nicest human being on the planet because he does not get the kind of hate. Like you said, Patty Cummings got so much hate after one series that he struggled like every other captain that you can think of. Whether it was Joe Root, Coley, not just India. Rohit walks on water. What am I missing here?
Well, to your credit, Coley, as far as I know, he was part of that long at-home win streak as captain that Rohit just broke the streak of. But again, in this situation, I think he's fortunate in the circumstance because India are in the WTC. So that third match, as much as I hate it, it didn't cost them the WTC, and they had a chance to World Cup. Now it's going to be his chance to shine because as a test captain, that's where you really want to make your money. That's where you want to make your bread. And he's got an opportunity. I don't want to spend too much time. I see what you're saying, but you're going to be on this over and over.
Know I hate... I admit it. I am a Rohit hater.
But if they win the WTC against Australia at a neutral site, I don't want to hear any more about it.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move on to what we like. I'm going to go ahead and start off because there was a lot to like. I don't want to be all doom and gloom.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, India did win 2 of the matches outright and then drew the last
one.
And that last one, let's start right there. Coley was the man of the match in that last match. They had, 480 thrown up on them in the first inning.
I thought it was done. Yeah. We were talking about it at school. I was gloating.
And typically with an Indian pitch, someone gets 400. You're not going to touch that.
Good night.
You are not going to have a
Good
chance.
Night.
But they answered that behind Coley. Yeah, it was 480 exactly. 571 themselves. They didn't declare. They went and bowled out, which I do like that as well. Use every wicket you have. Behind Coley's 180.
Buck 80 and change. 186.
186, and he overshadows Uzi 180.
Ooh, you know
you got a 180. I'll show you 186. Ooh. He kept all that he was the glue of that entire innings, and he was able to build partnership with Jadeja, with Bharat for crying out, with Axar. And there's even a part where, old Coley, that fire came out when Bharat almost ran him out. He was ready to eat him.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
For crying out loud.
I am a Coley fan, and I think that's why I hate.
But that's why I like him as not a captain, but as the leader on that field, leading the way.
Right.
Because, again, he's that glue. Even Pujara, he had a partnership with Pujara, too. And the other thing I liked about that, not to cut you off, but the other thing I like about that was Shubman Gill. The guy got 2 matches, and this guy really showed.
He showed up.
Raul, I don't want to see you anywhere near. And they were telling me the first match. Wasn't I calling for Raul to get bounced after the first match? And they were saying, you're so stupid. He's the vice captain. He's not going. Third match, he's gone for crying out loud. Shubman Gill is a stud, and I love seeing his resurgence. He got a 120. He was the story of the match until Coley did his King Coley type stuff. And I loved all that. But what I also loved was the fact that the pace, it was mostly the spinners, especially in the later matches. But the first 2 matches, Siraj made a small appearance and kind of went quiet. But Shami came alive as a pacer in India. And he was better than, the other paces that Australia had. And I'm going to double check the stats when Gabe shares what he liked, but I'm pretty sure no one came close to his 4 wickets in one innings that he had. Right. I love that. I love the way that the bowling responded and those bowling out Australia, the number 1 team in the world in Test, bowling them out in a session twice. Absolutely love that. Love the fight in the 4th one. There was a lot to like right here. You've got to say the way Rohit used the spacers when he did, and then it was the spinner show. He would sprinkle in some Shami in there, but it was mostly this or that. Did a great job. And how do you not love the man of the series, Ashwin, for crying out loud? Right. Jadeja dominated in that first match. He would have man of the series, but Ashwin was good old faithful for crying out loud. He had like a 6-wicket haul. He had like a 4-wicket haul. He was taking wickets after wickets after wickets. I wish his batting would show up. And last but not least, there's so much to like right here. Axar Patel. Axar Patel could have won man of the series, and it would have had nothing to do with his bowling. Right. It was because of his batting. His partnerships, he had a 79, a 74, and an 84. 3 different coming in, number 7 or 8 in your batting order, but number 1 in your hearts. This guy absolutely...
I like that line.
Me too. This guy absolutely shined, and there's a lot of good to take from this as they take their long break before the WTC final in June. Lots and lots to like, and I think I mentioned as much as I wanted. It was also good to see an appearance of Pujara at the end too, like seeing those glimpses.
So this is where my argument comes into this match. You and I were at school and we're watching, following it on our off time, by the way, during our breaks, okay, lunch breaks, and so on.
Totally.
And you and I are following this, right, Nick? And we're like, oh man, India's done. You know what I mean? I'm getting in your head because I'm like, listen, Australia's holding court, cousin. They put up 4 and change the first. It's done. It's over. I was already. Maybe I jinxed them. I don't know what to tell you. But
always,
India comes, and I'm thinking to myself, I even got more hype because immediately, what does Rohit do in that first inning in the first match? I believe he got LBW. Was it by
in the first match?
In the 4th match. In the 4th match, it was he put up a low total again. Meaning on the heels. My point is on the heels of.
You hate yourself some real hate. I thought this was what you liked about Australia.
But no. But I'm just jumping on what you liked as far as.
How did Uzi do the first few matches as an opener?
Listen, I get there. I mean, you can get there if you want to. So.
I'm not a hateful man.
So, Rohit. On the heels of just losing a match in India for the first time in a decade or something crazy like that, because India does not lose Test matches at home. On the heels of that and his poor performance where he was only scoring 12 runs in both innings, What does he come out and do? I think he got like
35
or whatever. After you saw Australia put up 4 and change, that's not going to cut it, Nick. It's not going to cut it. And I was thinking to myself, your captain just laid down. It's over. When he got out, he wasn't. When he got out, I was like, "You're done. You're done. You know, good night." I just don't feel like he led. Had he gone out and put up the score Coley put up, you know what I'm saying, or even shoved McGill in that and led them to that draw, I should say, I would have had more respect. So this is where I go back to loving Coley, because he's showing the fire that we all knew he had, and it's the ultimate underdog story from the perspective of Coley. They were calling for his head. How long did Coley watch? 397 days since a century. Coley's remember all this stuff, and now the guy is holding court, and yet he doesn't get any love. It's Rohit kisses babies. Come on, man. I'm just saying, give him some love. With that being said,
I love it.
You already know what I loved. Who held court for Australia? That's right. That's right. Uzi. Yeah, he might struggle in innings here and innings there. Uzi holds court. And I love the fact that this guy puts up a $180 in this match.
Top run scorer.
I mean, can Uzi get some love? Can we get a national holiday named after him for all the stuff he went through with JL not bouncing him off the team because he didn't like his attitude and all this other stuff? Where would Australia be without Uzi holding court? Dude, averaged almost a 50 for the innings. Dude, dude, I'm telling you, he is my favorite Australian player. He might be my favorite cricket player. And before everybody jumps on the Gabe, you're jumping on the bandwagon. Go back and watch. Back to the Test season 1.
He's all worked up.
Go back to the Test season 1. What was I saying? It's a travesty. That's why I hated JL.
I can't deny it.
It's a travesty. This guy can rake. This guy's got heart. This is a true athlete. And you're bouncing him for what reason? That's why I was always not on the JL train. And the people, even in the Test, you saw guys saying, how is this guy not on the team? Players actually playing like that's why JL lost that team, because they knew, listen, you're not putting the best product out there. You're not giving us the best chance to win. Players can be honest with themselves and say, yeah, he's better than me. He should be open. You don't think Travis Head said, yeah, Uzi should be starting? Stop it. He knows. You don't think Burns knows? Come on, man.
Travis Head's a stud.
Just saying. But, dude, going back, obviously, Marnus Lovashank, good to see the kid back, coming off injury. Travis Head also put up some runs again for Australia. But again, my biggest thing is I love that redemption story that Uzi continues. And you guys got to understand, I did not start watching cricket till the pandemic, till 2019. And the show The Test came out. I fell in love with his character during the Test. I was like, how is this guy not here? And all the trials and tribulation. Could you imagine what this guy's career would be like, Nick, if he had never gotten bounced and they kept him there? How many centuries has he had since he's come back? Like, I'm not even joking, not even a little bit. I'm not even exaggerating. He might have already matched his amount of centuries since they brought him back, since before, like the matches that he had. Like Uzi, to me, he lost so many years and so many matches, and it's just a travesty. And I'm just like, you know what? I love this kid. I wish him nothing but success. My favorite part, Cam Green, again, for the youngster to show up, I'm excited to see what the future holds for Cam Green. David Warner, man, dude, at some point we got to be honest, man. Is David Warner hurt every single series we see him? Every single series, the groin. Okay, why do I always reach? I say the groin,
Jihan,
the knee, the back. I mean, gosh, get some better doctors. Get somebody. The guy's always hurt.
This is what he liked. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
You know how you just destroyed Rohit, right?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So I want you to understand something. First of all, Rohit, let's start with the runs. He had the 5th highest runs combined, right? 6 innings batted. Stephen Smith is also the captain. The third match is 3 and 4. He was number 8, 145 runs. Let's look at the batting average, okay? Because maybe Rohit saw some more balls, okay?
Rohit had 1 or 2 good matches.
Rohit, 40 average. Steve Smith, 29 average. Okay, so Rohit's better. Let's go to strike rate. That's what it tells you about runs to balls, right? Rohit, 40 or strike rate, 58. Excuse me.
Right.
I gotta scroll all the way to the very bottom for Steve Smith, and it's 35.
Right.
So my point is this: if you're gonna crush Rohit because he didn't score enough for his team, How are you not crushing Steve Smith when he was the captain for half those matches?
That's your job.
And he wasn't. What?
That's your job, to crush.
No, I'm just saying. Your
job.
argument just completely fell
Because
flat. Because Steve Smith, does he bowl?
I'm not comparing.
Is SPD bowling unless it's Jimmy Anderson's doing a run?
I'm not comparing Rohit to Smudge. I'm comparing Rohit.
You're saying
to
Rohit and his.
I'm comparing.
You're
Rohit
saying
to
Rohit and their lack of runs scored is not how a captain should lead his team.
10115.
Smith
10115. 10115. Go back in the tape.
Is that your middle name?
Run it back, guys. What did I say? Rohit. My comparison. I would never compare Rohit to
No,
Smudge.
but did you not say Rohit not scoring enough runs? You mentioned it. Wasn't enough. Did not help his team as a leader.
Did not.
You
help
didn't
his team
mention
as a leader.
anything else about Rohit because we don't know about how he's talking about in the locker room.
Right.
You said him leading as a run scorer.
My question was, and we saw it firsthand. Every time Coley struggled in a match, anytime something happened, he got run out. It wasn't even his fault. Whatever happened, Coley, he was on Twitter getting blasted. He was
Not
on
till the very end. Don't you remember our conversations behind camera? You're like, Nick, you got to stop talking about Coley. Okay,
Well,
our fans aren't gonna. How many people hated my guts when I was saying before media was?
Right.
I was 6 months ahead of everyone else. We can't have him as a captain.
I will give you that.
We can't have him with this kind of run debacle. Lack of scoring he's in right now, and everyone hated my guts. Don't you ever talk about Coley. Don't you know what he did in 2013?
I will give you that. Just like I was the first on Kawhi, you were the first on hating Coley's captaincy.
The hate didn't come until the very end after 6, 7, 8 years.
So my question is, now you've seen what you gotten after Coley's captaincy. Do we still want to go back and discuss?
I don't want Coley as a captain because look at what he's able to do. Was he not in a funk for almost 2 years?
You think the captaincy really plays that much?
Absolutely. He's no longer captain of RCB. They did the same thing they always do, right? He's no longer the captain of any of the 3 formats. And look what my man's doing. He got a 186, his first century at home in who knows how long. He had 3 or 4 other centuries in white ball.
Yeah.
You're telling me he's not a better player?
So
get that stress away.
So your argument,
let him lead on the field.
I see what your argument is. You're a Coley fan, but you just think that
I didn't want him as a captain.
The stress of not having him as a captain, or the stress of captaincy, was what was hurting his game.
What's the definition of insanity, right?
Doing the same thing over and over again.
That's what we're talking about.
So I'm just saying, like, I just don't see Rohit get the kind of hate that Coley gets. But I see your point. You think that Coley just maybe can't deal with the pressures
nothing but love for the longest time.
Coley can't deal with the pressures of captaincy, and it's possible. It's possible some people buckle under that kind of pressure.
As a run scorer, I'm not saying anything else. But even like in the shorts, the side videos I see on YouTube, he looks so happy. He looks so relaxed.
He does. I mean, bro, maybe the only guy I've seen to succeed as a captain and go up there and lead his team, because even Kane Williamson at times, you're like, holy cow, was probably Joe Root. Think about this. Joe Root lost his captaincy even though he was the highest scorer on the team all the time. Like, what is going on? That's insane to me. He was leading the team
though.
And still, but he lost the team.
What
spats between
that's
him?
That's a different conversation with him and Ben Stokes. Look at how and you had different coach, obviously.
Right.
You got McCollum in there. I mean, we're way off track right there, but that's a huge night and day difference.
So I see your argument there, and I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying, if it's basically just on the run scoring, he scored more runs than SPD.
Listen,
SPD did not have a good series.
No, Smudge did not have a good series. And here's the thing, guys, anybody that doesn't know, and Smudge, I love Smudge, but everybody knows he struggles in the IPL. He is just not good for whatever reason. In India is like, I don't know what it is, man. Like, I get it, they're hard track and spinning tracks, but he's a much better player than that. And he goes down. You're right, he struggles down in the subcontinent. Again, same thing happened in Pakistan. Again, Uzi had to save him in Pakistan. There's no question that Smudge, he didn't even hold candle to Kawhi or Coley or Rohit for that matter. I'm not gonna argue with you there. You're right about that. Or I hate Axar Patel. I hate him with a passion.
Can we get to what we learned? Because I think I got a good one that I learned.
Okay, so here, go ahead and tell me what you learned.
I want to make sure you finish what you liked because we're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, of course, I love the performance from I love the performance from Kawhi, as I was mentioning earlier. We also have Travis Head show up as well. Dude, I gotta say, Cam Green, what did he score for the in those matches? 135 runs. The reason why I'm liking Cam Green is because he's a future, Nick. We don't really have. we don't have an all-rounder. Like, I know you love your... India has like 4. Stupid. Dude, India's not fair. Who was man of the series for India? Jadeja. No, it was Jadeja. Jadeja was...
series was Ashwin.
Ashwin, and then Jadeja was man of the match. And then, I'm sorry, those are your 2 main all-rounders.
And Jadeja just got off injury.
And then you got another, let me just throw a little Axar Patel for you. Other teams don't have that. Like, their all-rounders are ridiculous. India's all-rounders...
You telling me Todd Murphy can't bust out 3 half-centuries?
You shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Like, listen, for Australia, it's Cam Green or bust, all right? It's Cam Green or bust. We don't have those kind of all-rounders, so I'm glad that he's able to go in there and put in that kind of work. You know, again, Murphy... new dude, but Cam Green, everybody's been talking about. He's a young boy. He's a future all-rounder because, you know, the Big Show isn't a test player. He's a T20 player, right? So we need that in test, and I'm liking that they keep sticking with him. He only got 2 matches. I think, bro, there should be no reason why Cam Green doesn't play all the time. He needs to be their main staple. He needs to be their all-rounder all the time.
Coming around to Cameron Green, huh?
I am coming around to Cameron Green, and I realized that's the... You know what? India could have lost very well that second match, okay? Because like you said, their top order didn't go well. But with India, even if you take out Coley, even if you take out KL Rahul, or he takes out himself, even if you take out Subin Gill, you may think, find... who? The 9 guy, the 8-hole guy. They're so deep. The only guy that don't bat it's Lord Siraj. You know what I mean? Like, everybody bats. So, like, you need that. You can't...
Go in?
You know exactly. You can't just stop at, let's say, 6 deep. Like, most teams stop at 6 and 7, and that's it. And then it's all just night watchmen, bro. That they're walking wickets down there. Just saying. Nathan Lyon, I'm not putting him on the line in the WTC. Like, oh, yeah, go get us 30 runs. What was it that New Zealand had to pull out with 2 wickets left?
31 runs.
31 runs.
4 overs, like 15 with 2 overs.
If I'm Australia, the only person I'm trusting with a bat to get us 31 runs is Cam Green. I'm not maybe Patty Cummings, but I'm not trusting any of the other bowlers to do that. Not Nathan Lyon. Not Mitchell Stark. Mitchell Stark will probably injure himself. How many overs you want me to bat? How many overs? I'm just saying.
The Pacers only combined for 5 wickets. I'm just saying too.
Well, it's a subcontinent. I'm not even gonna. I knew that. At least we knew.
They had 4 and 1 innings.
We knew that the Pacers were going to struggle. So I'm not in the subcontinent. It's a spinning track. I'm not worried about that. But again, I'm happy about Cam Green and Uzi because again, we're gonna need Cam Green. Nick, we will be facing India in the WTC, and we've got to bat at least 7 or 8 deep. We have to. We can't just say, you know, top 6 are gone, our 7 is gone. No. You got to be able to extend that, you know, that bat. And that's honestly, to your point, that's India's strength. Like, with India, who do you leave off? You're not taking Axar and Ashwin. And Ashwin, a lot of times...
Ashwin won't see the light of day.
Won't see the light of day outside of India. So they're probably going to take Axar Patel, but you still got Jadeja. It's not fair. It is not fair. It's so
You might be able to roll just with Jadeja. We'll have to see what happens. As far as what I learned is this. So the last 3, and this is not me being my usual annoying self. The last 3 test series between these 2 squads, India's won all 3. Okay? But with this most recent one, in a neutral field at WTC, I don't know who's the better team yet. I just don't know. You can say on paper, India definitely is. But they've never played each other in England, right? And a neutral site at the Oval. Haven't seen that yet. It's going to be super exciting. It's going to be fantastic. Both sides are going to have plenty of time to rest up before June. They have almost 3 months to rest up. And what I learned is I just don't know who's got the edge. As far as World Cup past experiences, you got to give the edge to Australia. They've been the number 1 squad all year long, since day 1, for crying out loud. They won in the subcontinent all 3 times they went. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India. At least 1 match, not the entire series. And they didn't even have Hazelwood, and I get it, he's a pacer in the subcontinent, but you don't think they would have. India had 9 wickets from Shami. They had 3 wickets from Umesh in 2 matches, and they had 1 from Siraj. You don't think Hazelwood could have got a few timely wickets? More than likely, he probably would have.
I can't argue with that.
So... And again, you had Scott Bowman, which we love Scott Bowman, but he wasn't able to be effective in that first match.
Right.
You would have definitely seen Hazelwood there, if not on all the matches, especially with Pat Cummins not being able to finish out the series. I just don't know who's the better squad. as a fan, since it's a toss-up, I'm going to root for India being a better squad. But I don't have any confidence they're going to be able to stomp on them. And plus, you have the wild card of one match in the WTC. One match. Is it going to be like the first match here in the series or the third match? Because either one was not pretty for the other side. That's what I learned that I don't know. And I can't wait for the WTC final. And I know you don't want to hear, oh, the two top teams in the world once again. Sorry. Okay, this is Yankees, this is Dodgers, okay? These are the two best teams that we want to see out there, and I can't wait.
So here's what I learned. Coming into this match, I remember that first match, people going off because they're like, India's opening with spinners, right? And again, I don't like excuses. I don't care. We all play in the same conditions, right? We all have to play under the same conditions. It is what it is. And one of the criticisms I have, not just for Australia, but England as well, is that they build these teams to play at home conditions, but you're going to have to win on the road. You want to win a championship, you want to win a WTC title, you want to win a T20 World Cup, you want to win a white ball championship and ODI, you're going to have to win on the road. You're not going to always be able to play at home. Right. So if that's the case, build a team for it. And for the longest time, the only other spinner that we knew about, I knew about with Australia was Adam Zampa, right? And Adam Zampa's a T20 dude. He's not a test guy. And I was like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, the spinners showed up, okay? We got Todd Murphy, which you talked about earlier, 14 wickets. Again, he's a young cat, 22 years old, left-handed.
Only test matches he ever played.
Yeah, this is the only test match he's ever played. Right-armed spinner, right? And then you've got... is it Kudaman? Who's a left-handed spinner, right? Now Nathan Lyon is the GOAT, right? He's got over 400 test wickets, but Nathan Lyon can't bowl all the overs, and you got to take he can't bowl all the overs, and you got to take a page out of India's book, out of Sri Lanka's book. If they're gonna open up with spinners, we're gonna open up with spinners. If they're gonna throw spinners out there, you know what I mean, for 80 plus overs, we are too. And you got to rely more than just Nathan Lyon, knowing that's the conditions you're gonna go into. So Kukamin, I believe it is. Also, 26 years old, also a young kid. He's a left-handed spinner. I love that. You got the lefty-righty combo. You got spinners that are going to go over and get you overs, and I'll take it. Of course, then you also got Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon's a dog. Just saying. Nathan Lyon is the GOAT. As far as Australian spinners is concerned, Nathan Lyon is the GOAT right now, over 400 test wickets, and I think we can win anywhere. Now, what I learned, the last thing I learned, Nick, simple. Australia, I'm calling it right now. T20 World Cup Championship, WTC champion.
Okay, you're so stupid.
Bro, I learned. You could not beat us at home. You could not beat us when the conditions favored your team. You think you're going to beat us on the road? On a neutral site? Get out of here. Get what I learned. Crown him king right now. Australia, bring it home. 2 championships. That's right. Got the T20 championship, and they will also be bringing the WTC championship. That's what I learned.
I did not think we were going to go to Fantasyland today.
Ooh, Fantasyland.
But that's where we're at. One cool thing, I'm just like, while he's talking, I'm still listening to the blasphemy over here. I'm looking at Nathan Lyon and Ashwin. Nathan Lyon, 482 wickets after this series. Ashwin, 477.
It's crazy.
We got these two guys that we were able to see live and not in person, but on TV.
Right.
Close to 500 wickets. I mean, we live in a wonderful age. We saw Jimmy Anderson get to 600.
600.
We saw Stuart Broad get to 500. We're going to see these guys
get to 500 within the next year.
The season ramps up again and everything.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's going to be exciting to lead up to the WTC. We got some months. We got IPO coming up next. And my question is right now, you're probably going to see one spinner from each side. Nathan Lyon. At India's could be Jadeja. Do they bring a second one? I'm not sure, because you don't want to leave without Axar's bat. You know, it can't hurt to have that bat right there. So we'll have to see what kind of squad there. But Australia's going to be bringing their boys. Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark,
Cam Green,
Hazelwood, Cameron Green. Right? They're going to have some pacers out there, and it's going to get nasty, and it's going to get beautiful, and we can't wait. Let us know what you think about our conversation here. What did we miss? What did we mess up? What did you like? Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.